So manganese. Manganese is a trace mineral. It's really important to our overall function. It's important for antioxidants. It's important for eliminating waste in something we call the urea cycle. It's important for cartilage and bone formation, energy production, digestion. It's important for a process called gluconeogenesis. This is basically how the liver can make new sugar. And of course, we need to maintain some blood sugar, right? If your blood sugar was 30, that's a problem. So even in low carb states, which, I'm a huge fan of low carb for a lot of different situations, our body still needs to be able to make sugar to meet and keep our blood sugar at a certain level in case we're in times of, fasting or energy deficit or during exercise. These are all times that might be important. Manganese is important for that. It's important for the immune system and for making amino acids, the building block of proteins. So what causes manganese deficiencies? It can be actually excess intake of things that compete for absorption. So in people who are taking far too high amounts of iron, calcium, that can actually decrease manganese absorption. If you're taking a lot of copper or folic acid, that can decrease manganese absorption. Phosphorus or antacids or laxatives containing magnesium, that can decrease manganese absorption. And this is typically not seen in regular doses. This is for supernormal doses. People who are taking way more than they should, which is not uncommon because people think that, some supplement is good, more is better. That's not always the case. You can give yourself nutrient deficiencies by taking too much of another nutrient. Deficiencies can also be caused by epilepsy, osteoporosis, diabetes. If you have pancreatic insufficiency, meaning your pancreas is unable to make all of the digestive enzymes it needs. And then people on dialysis can also have deficiencies of manganese. So what are the symptoms? What disease states is it associated with? Bone and connective tissue problems. You can have problems with glucose and lipid dysregulation, so abnormal cholesterol, abnormal blood fats, abnormal sugar metabolism. It's been associated with infertility, increased oxidative stress, inflammation, been associated with gout, and elevated ammonia levels. Ammonia is a byproduct of metabolism. If the levels are too high, it can be toxic, especially to the brain. Food sources of manganese: nuts, especially almonds and pecans, green leafy veggies like spinach, tea, organ meats, and legumes. So what are some genes that are associated with manganese and its function? The SCL39A8 gene, and this is the manganese receptor. This is not something that's usually done in clinical practice. That's more of a research tool. But what we do is look at the SOD gene, the superoxide dismutase. It's actually manganese superoxide dismutase. So manganese is essential for dealing with oxidative stress in the mitochondria, in the powerhouse of the cell. So what can happen when we make energy from foods is you can get these reactive oxygen species as a byproduct. And so the mitochondria, where that process happens, has a way of dealing with it, and SOD is one of them. So if you have abnormalities in the function of your SOD gene, you may need more manganese to help your body deal with the oxidative stress. Some other testing that we can do: we can measure manganese levels. We can look at certain byproducts like homovanillic acid, VMA, 5-OH, indoleacetic acid. All of these byproducts, the levels can be checked to see if we have adequate manganese. Then we can look at certain amino acids like arginine and glutamic acid, which manganese is essential for normal levels. And we can look at aminobutyric acid as well. So these are all things that either we can directly measure manganese, or these particular metabolites need manganese for normal levels. So those are something that we can look at. And that's something that we do look at in routine. So the dose, the RDA is 2.3 milligrams for men, 1.8 milligrams for women. Most of the products you'll see are somewhere around that dose or a little bit less. It's really well tolerated in doses below 11 milligrams per day. So much higher than the RDA. And you usually don't use those doses for just general maintenance unless someone has a manganese deficiency, and you might use higher doses for a little while and then back them back down to a smaller dose, because higher doses may increase the risk of neurotoxicity, and people with severe liver disease can be susceptible to accumulation. All right, so that was our first Wellness Weekly. What do you guys think? Did you like the format? This format may change. This is basically ground zero for a new podcast format that's integrating some of the weekly videos that I used to do into one cohesive video and one cohesive podcast. So let me know what you think. If you want to hear about any supplements, reach out to me. If you want to hear about any studies or my interpretation of any studies you might hear, reach out to me. This Wellness Weekly is literally an update for you about something going on in wellness. Whether that's mindset, whether that's supplements, whether that's research. That's the whole focus of this segment. So I hope you enjoyed. As usual, this is Dr. Richard Harris, Strive for Great Health podcast. Have a blessed day.